Serpent, Scion by Orphan Account. Read by Kaiinbed. Chapter 8 Two Lives. Mr. Snape, you might want to come. The boy is waking up. Severus was slowly falling asleep on his seat, but hearing the joyful news, he bolts upright and rushes towards Harry's bed. A middle-aged female healer in a medical gown steps aside to make more space for him. The young chosen one looks horribly pale. After 2 major surgeries and 3 full weeks in a coma, he has clearly lost a considerable amount of weight. He looks like a shadow of his former self. But what is much more important at the moment, he is finally regaining consciousness. His eyelids are visibly twitching. Severus has spent the majority of his past 3 weeks in St. Mungo's beside Harry's bed. All of the fellow faculty members, with an unsurprising exception of Dumbledore, have been very understanding and compassionate towards him. Professors Sprout and McGonagall even agreed on taking turns, covering for him during potions classes. Severus. Snape gasps. Harry's just opened his eyes. His hissing voice is weak and quiet. Severus. The boy attempts to sit up. Severus takes him by the shoulders, gently lying him down. Shh, Harry. Don't sit up. Your body is weakened, he says quietly. Harry's sunken face winces in pain. He wraps his arms around his midsection, apparently having felt the pretty fresh effects of the surgeries. Severus grabs a vial of painkiller potion from the night drawer. Drink this, Harry. It will make you feel better. After chugging the potion, Harry's facial muscles relax. He leans back on his pillows and looks at Snape through half-open eyes. I must have been pretty butchered, haven't I? He asks. Severus lowers his eyes. It wasn't so bad. Harry narrows his, obviously seeing through Snape's lie. Bullshit, he hisses with a reproach. Snape sighs. You survived the explosion only thanks to a hint of luck, he says honestly. Particularly, it was your jacket that saved your life. Dragon leather is a very special fabric. Its durability is able to absorb the impact of various mild spells. It protected your vital organs during the explosion. Harry's eyes widen, making his sunken face look even skinnier. Unbelievable how lucky I was, he whispers. It seems that I had plenty of other injuries, though, he notices. Yes, Snape admits. The jacket had managed to shield your heart and lungs, but your liver, stomach, larynx, and upper airways were in an appalling state. As soon as Madame Pomfrey from the school infirmary had seen you, minutes after the explosion, she immediately sidelong apparated you and me here to St. Mungo's. You needed to have your liver transplanted. The healers used one grown magically from stem cells. Your spleen and stomach were in a decent enough condition for the healers to patch them up. But your throat and upper airways were badly burned and more difficult to fix. You have spent a good deal of time attached to life support equipment. Snape indicates a pile of tubes of various diameters and a bewitched device which had been helping the boy breathe for almost 2 weeks. Harry flinches at the sight. What about other injuries? He asks reluctantly. Severus looks at him compassionately. Harry, I won't sugarcoat. After the explosion, your body looked like a bloody mess. 40% of your skin was badly burnt, including the skin on your face. It required some very complex potions that have been applied to your skin over the last couple of weeks to get rid of the nasty burn scars. Also, your arms and legs were broken in multiple places, but, fortunately, broken bones are not that hard to mend. You have been in a coma for 3 weeks, and all the healing and nourishing potions have been applied directly to your veins from a drip bag. He indicates a thin nylon tube, still attached to the boy's wrist. The boy sighs and closes his eyes. When he opens his eyes, his pupils are widened in horror. Severus, he says apprehensively. What about Grassy? Is he dead? Severus looks around the hospital room. Having made sure that no healers were close by, he opens up his black cloak and pulls the sleeping, bright-scaled snake out of his inner pocket. Harry's face expresses a deep, sweet relief when he extends his hand to take his familiar from Severus. Better keep him hidden, Harry, Snape says warningly. In a hospital, there are no animals allowed. Harry nods and sits up slightly to hide the sleeping snake under his pillows. But suddenly, he freezes. He looks at his familiar in disbelief. Severus notices tears forming in the boy's eyes when he lifts his sunken face up. Severus. Harry's voice is swollen with pain. Grassy is shorter than he used to be. Snape sighs. Well, there was no way for the boy not to notice that a familiar, which he had shared 8 years of his life with, is suddenly a good 3 inches shorter than before, and instead of a pointed end of the tail, he has a blunt end with a nasty scar. I am so sorry, Harry, Severus says quietly. His tail had been mutilated in the explosion. Madame Pomfrey managed to seal his wound up. Snape's voice drowns out in the boy's uncontrollable sobbing. This must have been just too much for Harry to handle. He cries his eyes out, cuddling the mutilated snake to his chest. Severus's heart sinks. He remembers just too vividly the injured serpent lying on the great hall's floor in a bloody mess, wreckage of his own tail violently blasted apart in the explosion. He remembers picking the snake up from the floor, being pretty sure that the animal is already dead. He remembers the relief of feeling a weak heartbeat under his fingers, and Madame Pomfrey's quick action to rescue the snake. That disastrous night, 2 lives were miraculously saved. Grass Snake opens his bright yellow eyes, alarmed by Harry's sobbing. Young speaker is awake. Severus, why is the young speaker crying? Hearing his familiar's voice, Harry starts sobbing even more violently. Grassy, you cannot move around anymore, can you? Harry asks in despair, cuddling his familiar. The snake freezes in the boy's arms. Snape lowers his eyes. Of course, losing a large part of his tail and spine, Grassy won't be able to crawl anymore. No, young speaker, but it's okay. I can still travel in your pocket, Grassy hisses quietly. Harry falls back on his pillows, still hugging the snake affectionately to his chest. His small body is twitching in violent sobs. It takes Severus a good 15 minutes to calm the boy down. I probably shouldn't ask, Harry asks finally, in a hoarse voice. Yeah, I'll probably regret asking, but has the old coot faced any consequences for what he'd done? Snape sighs. Harry, Dumbledore's chief warlock, with his position in the wizarding world and his army of loyal followers, he is practically inviolable. Even if he stood in front of the Wizengamot for what he had done, it would have been virtually impossible to sentence him. So, answering your question, no, he hasn't faced any consequences. And nobody is going to blame you if you decide not to return to Hogwarts after what you've experienced. Harry lifts his puffy, bloodshot eyes at Severus. Not to return? Are you kidding, Severus? Now I'm desperate to return to Hogwarts. Dumbledore has crippled my familiar and almost killed me, and I will have my revenge. Severus's eyes widen. Harry, he whispers. Besides Severus, Harry adds in a firm voice, if I won't go back to Hogwarts, who is going to protect you? Harry had just been discharged from the hospital, 4 days after his awakening from the coma. His body is still weakened, but thanks to the nourishing potions, his skin has regained a healthy color and his energy levels have been replenished. Harry is still dressed in plain hospital pajamas. A Kaiinbed witch allowed him to keep them after finding out that the boy's only set of clothing had been damaged in the explosion. The boy holds the mutilated grass snake gently in his arms. The leather clothes store is the first place Snape decides to take Harry after his discharge. Excuse me, miss, Severus says to the clerk. We were here about a month ago and bought a dragon leather jacket, a thick brown one with plenty of pockets. Do you by any chance happen to have these in your store? The clerk's face lights up. I can recall that jacket, sir, but I am afraid that one was the last piece. I can offer you a black one in the same fashion. Severus turns his head towards the boy. Harry, what did you say about a black one? He asks. Color is unimportant. It's the size of the pockets that matter. At least one of them must be big enough for Grassy to fit in, and its durability. It's also significant, in case I take another bombardment into my chest. Harry explains. May we see the black one? Snape asked the clerk. Of course, gentlemen, the clerk answers politely, before disappearing in the support area. Snape notices some piles of dragon-hide trousers in various colors, folded neatly on the counter. He picks up a black pair. The clerk comes back with the jacket. Much to Severus's relief, it's exactly the same as the old one, except for the color. I've already picked up the right size for the young gentleman, the clerk says, handing the jacket over to Snape. Excellent. We'll take the jacket and this pair of trousers, and... Severus notices that Harry is looking longingly at a nice pair of calf-long dragon leather boots in a matching black color. Severus, the boy asks shyly. And this pair of black boots, Severus says. Harry, what about an undershirt? You could take off your jacket if it's warm. Harry nods eagerly. Yes, please, but one with a pocket for Grassy. Do you have any shirts with pockets in the store, miss? Severus asks the clerk. The young woman brings a pile of various shirts, long and short sleeve, made out of different kind of fabrics, each of them with some fairly large pockets attached. The store sells primarily leatherware, but it seems that they also have a wide choice of other kinds of clothing. I'll take the lot, Severus decides. Harry gasps. I don't need so many, he mutters, flushing. Severus puts a bunch of galleons on the counter, disregarding the boy's remark. Perhaps the young gentleman wants to change into his new clothes now, so I can fold and pack up the rest for you, the clerk suggests. Excellent idea, Severus answers. Harry, why don't you go to the support area and change? And, by the way, miss, do you happen to have a public flue fireplace that we could use? Of course, sir. The one in the support area, the clerk answers. How much does it cost to use it? The woman smiles. In case of such a big purchase, it's gratis, she says. The flue powder is in a drawer next to the fireplace. Thank you, miss, Snape says, nodding curtly. When he steps into the support area, Harry's already dressed in his new clothes. Deep black really suits him for some reason. Looking sharp, Harry, Severus says with acknowledgement. Now I'm looking more like you, Harry notices. His words make Severus's heart sink. It's more than obvious that Severus has grown to become a role model and a father figure in Harry's eyes. Even more than that, Severus has grown to become a person that Harry wants to protect. On the one hand, he is genuinely proud and flattered. On the other, he feels that it is not entirely fair towards Harry. Harry still thinks that Morphin Gaunt had died in the fire, and Severus is guilty of concealing the truth from him. Unfortunately, Severus still cannot tell him the truth. Dumbledore's wrath is still too much to handle. He will have to wait for a better chance, for better circumstances. He will have to wait until Dumbledore is weaker, until his true face is revealed and his authority in people's eyes is entirely undermined. Then no longer will he have to be afraid. Then he will do whatever it takes to reunite Harry with his father. Having used the closed-door flue network, Harry and Severus find themselves back at Hogwarts. Severus wants Harry to have a light meal, his first solids after a couple of weeks on nourishing potions. They leave Snape's office and head towards the kitchens. The castle's passageways are empty and silent. It's early afternoon, and the vast majority of students are having classes. They enter the entrance hall, and Severus extends his hand to enter the door that leads to the kitchens. However, before he has the chance to grab the doorknob, the door opens from inside. Albus Dumbledore, with a big fake smile on his face, stands in the doorway. Harry jumps back and hisses dangerously. He pulls his wand out and aims it at Albus, holding it in a firm two-handed grip. The mutilated snake sticks its flat head out of the boy's chest pocket, hissing warningly at Dumbledore. Oh, young Harry, the headmaster says softly, in a conversational tone. I was delighted to hear about your recovery and your return to school. I came down here to greet you personally. His voice drowns out in loud and angry hisses from both Harry and his familiar. Headmaster, I must ask you to stay away from Harry, Severus says firmly. He obviously doesn't want neither your personal greetings nor your company in general, and I'm afraid he does have solid reason for that. Oh, is that so? Dumbledore says in a heartbroken voice. And I was willing to apologize to young Harry for a little accident during the sorting ceremony. Accident? Harry growls. Accident? You nearly killed me. You mutilated my familiar. He will never be able to move around on his own. You've blown us up. This is what you are calling an accident? Oh, my dear boy. Could you please remind me who had pounced on me and knocked me down before the accident happened? Dumbledore asked calmly. That's because you are torturing Severus. You upset his serpent and inflict him more pain than he can handle, and nobody but me can notice that you are doing it. Don't you think that I'll allow you to do that again? Harry yells. Listen, Harry. Dumbledore loses his deceiving grandfatherly tone. You must understand that I'm being really lenient with you right now for a violent physical assault on any school faculty member, let alone a headmaster. I could easily put you in front of the Wizengamot and have you sentenced in no time. In no time, Harry. A prison for underage wizards if you're very lucky. Azkaban if you are a little bit less lucky. That's no joke, boy. The same goes for a verbal assault. Threatening, that is. Exactly what you are doing right now. And let's not forget about you pointing your wand towards me for some reason, which is also punishable. Harry smirks, not lowering his wand. Lower your wand, boy, Albus says through clenched teeth. You can suck my... Headmaster, please, let us through the door. Snape says quickly, cutting Harry off. We are heading to the kitchens. Harry needs to eat something nutritious after his ordeal. Not so fast, Dumbledore says harshly. Harry is supposed to be in class, Severus. Snape raises his eyebrows, confused. Harry has just been discharged from the hospital, Headmaster. Shouldn't he have a little bit more time for recovery? No, Severus. I would say it's the other way around. Harry has already lost almost 4 weeks' worth of classes and studying. I think it is going to be much better for him if he starts catching up as soon as possible. Dumbledore says calmly and looks at Harry, who flinches and hisses warningly. He needs to eat before he goes to classes, Snape says. I would say the two of you have more than enough time to eat lunch, Severus, judging by the fact that you found the time to go clothes shopping. Dumbledore says, eyeing Harry's new outfit contemptuously. We had to. Harry's old clothes were damaged in the explosion. Snape snarls, losing his patience. And you decided to get this instead of a school uniform. Splendidly. Well, Harry's class is having transfigurations at the moment. Let's just hope Professor McGonagall won't decide to take points from Slytherin for the lack of school robes and lack of textbooks. Both Harry and Severus look daggers at the headmaster. Let's go, Harry. I'll take you to the transfiguration classroom, Albus says, going back to his grandfatherly tone. He takes a step forward, but Snape grabs Harry's hand and steps back. Let me take care of this, Headmaster, Severus says coldly. I'll show Harry the way to his classroom.